All right. Hey, welcome to Scoplicity. We're going live today, and we're going to be talking about the idea that sometimes the problem with your marketing plan is the plan itself. And for all those people that got here 7 minutes ago, I apologize. Running in some technical issues with Facebook. Gotta love it. But most importantly, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So hopefully everyone has got a great Thanksgiving planned out. And I wish you all the blessings. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about how sometimes the biggest problem with your marketing plan is the plan itself. So, we always start out by asking, is your marketing working, right? And what do we mean by, does your marketing plan work? The things that we mean are, are you getting consistent and predictable results? Do you know how much it costs you to run and launch your marketing plan? Is there a return on the investment, right? Are you making more back than it costs you to launch it and run it? And finally, could you explain it to a fifth grader? So with all that being said, I could tell you that in my experience using the 80-20 rule, that 80 or more % of the time, the issue with the marketing plan, if it's not working, is the fact that it's either one of these two things or both. Thing number one is that the plan is not focused enough. Thing number two is that the plan is not simple enough, right? These are the two things that I find are more times than not the real problem behind people not being able to generate ROI with their campaigns or with their marketing, and why they're not working in general, right? So back in the TV industrial complex, the TV commercial era, it was okay to just go out and interrupt people with ads, right? Because that's how it worked. People watched TV and the commercials came in, and everyone just accepted that as a part of having free TV. And to go along with that, they had a very captive audience. Where today, right, with the online world, your audience is anything but captive, right? As soon as ads come up on videos, even in Facebook, people are scrolling away from them and doing different things, all that kind of stuff. So now it's way more important to be super focused and making sure that your message is crafted for a very specific kind of person, and that when that person hears your message, they resonate almost immediately. That is way more important now than trying to craft this message for this huge group of people that might be anybody, especially in today's advertising era where you can get really selective on who you're advertising to. And so ultimately, let's go ahead and talk about let's talk about focus, okay, and why focus is so important. Everyone's heard of the analogy of the sun. You've got the sun coming down. If you use a magnifying glass, you can actually burn something. Or a laser is way better at doing, you can take a laser and go through a wall, where if you've got a flashlight with unfocused light, it doesn't do nearly as much. And so everyone's familiar with the importance of focusing, but when it comes to your own marketing plan, sometimes it's a lot harder to focus in and know where to focus. But here are some of the benefits of focusing, right? Because I want to keep this, fairly short, quick, and simple. And we'll dive deeper in future videos about where to focus, how to focus, and what to focus on when we start talking about target markets and we start talking about traffic sources and things like that. So here's what focus does for you. Focus allows you to create a more powerful message. And your message is super important, obviously, when you're marketing. When somebody sees your stuff, the message has to be powerful. And if your message is crafted for everybody, it's not going to be powerful. If it's crafted for a very specific group of people, then it's going to be, you've got the opportunity to make it way more powerful, because then they could say, wow, that person really feels my pain, or they understand me, and makes it way more powerful. The more powerful your message is, right, the easier it is to get people to take action, right? The less effort it takes you to get them to take action. The less effort it takes you to get them to take action, the faster they're going to take action, right? So the faster they're going to engage with you, the faster they're going to, take your offer, the faster they're going to become your customer. The faster they become your customer, right, with the less effort, right, the less it costs you to acquire that customer, right? If you're not familiar with the term CAC, right, the acronym CAC, which is customer acquisition cost, right? Every time you go out and you try to attract the customer, right, it costs you dollars to do that. And so the faster you can attract a single customer, or the faster you can acquire a single customer, then the less it costs you to get them. Okay. And we could do another video. If you're interested, go ahead and put it in the comments below. We can start talking about CAC, customer acquisition costs, and all the things that go into it, and the things that you should definitely consider when it comes to advertising and running your simple, focused marketing plan. So again, the more focused it is, the more powerful the message, the faster people take action with less effort on your part. The faster and less effort on your part that people take action, the higher your return is on the ad or whatever type of traffic source you're using to drive people in. So ultimately, again, the shorter conclusion is that the more focused your plan is, the less it costs you and the more return you get on that plan. So now let's go into making a simple plan, right? Making a simple plan isn't necessarily always easy, right? Because there's things that you're going to have to cut out, right? When you make your plan focused, right, there's things on the outside that you have to cut out, and that in and of itself isn't simple. And so, sometimes it's not easy to make an easy plan. However, the easier the plan is to explain, then the easier it's going to be to implement. The easier it is to implement, the faster you're going to have it implemented. The faster you have it implemented, the sooner you can launch it. The sooner you can launch it, the faster you can test it and dial it in and make sure that it's really working the way that you need it to work, right? And so again, when you go from the simple plan, right, where it's easy to explain, it's easier to implement. When you implement it easier, it means it's faster to implement. When you implement it faster, that means you cost, like you're paying a lot less, whether it's your time or somebody else's time to actually put this thing together. It just ultimately costs a lot less to implement it when it's simple and easy to explain. And thus you get it out to the world and tested in a shorter period of time. You get to dial it in a lot sooner, which ultimately, again, increases your ROI. So again, these are the things that you can use to increase your ROI. Hey, Greg, thanks. And so again, having a simple plan and a focus plan are the things that you need in order to make sure to increase your ROI, right? So that in the long run, that's what it comes down to. The more focused your plan is and the simpler your plan is, the higher your ROI is going to be in being able to get your plan out there and launched in front of real people. Okay. So, as you might be able to tell, right, I'm not interested in the big launch, right? I'm way more interested in getting something launched and out there and improving it over time so that, again, your results can start to become predictable and consistent, right? And that way, when you dial things in, exactly what caused the change, right? You turn the dial. If things go down, you know exactly why. It's because you've turned the dial. Where on a launch, it's really hard to tell, oh, here's my big launch. I made $1 gajillion. It's hard to tell how that, what part of that launch really worked and which parts didn't. And then again, it's not consistent. It's just a launch unless you all consistently have more and more launches, which again, that is a strategy that some people use and it works great for them, but just make sure that is the plan. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up today. Again, if you go to Scoplicity.com, you can go ahead and download our free battle plan. And the free battle plan is designed to do exactly those two things. It helps you focus your plan and it helps make sure that your plan is simple. Right? Those are the two things that it does. Once you go through the battle plan, right, there's a video on the very first tab that kind of walks you through how it all works. And once you're done, you'll have a plan that you can definitely explain to a fifth grader. So again, go ahead and jump on that and we'll see you again next week.